Welcome to the Resistance broadcast, everybody. I'm John. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are back. It is our new show here. We're going to talk all about the latest news, rumors, and crazy theories and speculations going out there on online with Star Wars. But, you know, first, obviously, there is a more important things going on in the world besides Star Wars, and that's probably why you may have noticed we did not put out an episode on Thursday, nor did we put out the Mando fan show on Friday. We just collectively made the decision that it didn't make sense for us to be putting out content and promoting content about space fantasy when all these things that are happening in the world globally now with the Black Lives Matter movement and the murder of George Floyd and everything that has come down with it. We wanted to make sure that everything that was going on, especially online, because it's a big focus with Star Wars podcasts and that sort of thing, with promotion and that sort of stuff. We wanted to make sure all the focus went to the proper things, and that's what's going on in the real world, and people are really hurting out there. And we just want to let everyone know that not only do we make that decision, but that we are listening, more importantly than anything. I'm a white dude from Long Island and Connecticut. I had 3 black classmates in my graduating class. No one is looking to hear me preach about what's going on right now. So more importantly than anything, I'm listening, and I just want to know people have my full support and our full support, and we are listening to everyone out there who is hurting. And we hope that with this episode today, where we do get into the fun stuff that we're doing, those of you that have chosen to watch and listen to us today can get a little bit of enjoyment and maybe some escapism, and that's what Star Wars provided for decades for people. So we just wanted to let everybody know that. And for my personal views, obviously, on anything, you can find me right there in public on Twitter at Johnny Hoey.
Yeah, I'm right there with John. I feel like I don't necessarily have a place to speak on the problems, but at the same time, I respect everyone that's hurting right now and support them fully. So like John said, we just didn't think that we needed to put out episodes because it kind of felt like, oh, we're just going about normal business, and right now is not a time for that. Mm-hmm. So we just want everybody to know that just like you support us throughout the year, we're supporting you, and we're going to continue to support diverse voices in Star Wars, in the community, and we're here for you. And like John said, we're listening. So we're going to keep trying to be as positive we can about Star Wars specifically, because that's kind of the only thing that's kind of happy right now. Is Star Wars. Yeah,
and again, if you want to engage with us about these things, I know you can find me, like I said, on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, and I do have my way of supporting this and talking about this on there. But again, we just want to let everyone out there know that you fully have our support. We have your backs, and if you are listening and watching this right now, you are here because, we like to talk about Star Wars, and hopefully that makes you feel good. So we want to give that to you guys now and get into the show here. So what we are going to do now, as what feels normal for you guys, is hop into the Resistance Report and get into all the latest going on in a galaxy far, far away. James, what is going on in Star Wars?
It's the Resistance.
Well, guys, first thing we got on the docket this week is a little bit of Mandalorian news. And I say news lightly, right? Because this is pretty much a rumor. Now, this is coming from Bespin Bulletin. You guys may or may not have seen them before. But they'll post about leaks here and there. And they're saying that Pedro Pascal is going to be spending more time in Season 2 in the Mandalorian outfit and costume on set, paying his dues in the suit than he did last season. And I don't know, my quick opinion, but I think fans are going to appreciate that and like that. But I want to hear from you guys. John, what do you think about Pedro Pascal being on set more and actually playing more of the character?
So I don't know. This seems like one of those safe bet rumors, like, mm-hmm. If I wanted to, and I'm not saying this is what this guy's doing, but if I wanted to be like, let me just fire up the rumor mill here and be like, I think Pedro Pascal is going to be in the suit more in season 2.
Wait, what?
And
the
it's
guy
like,
that's playing the Gelner.
yeah, and it's like, well, he was in the suit for 40 seconds in season 1. So if he's in the suit for 41 seconds in season 2, then
Got him.
Then my rumor was correct. So that's one thing. It makes a lot of sense. What I had heard, and I don't know where I heard this from. It might have been in talking to somebody about it, but I heard one of the main reasons he wasn't in the suit. One of the primary reasons, some people said it was because he was doing a play, but that the timelines don't really work there, was contract stuff. He wanted more, and they didn't want to pay him certain amounts, and he's like, well, then I'm not going to be showing up doing these things. You get the stunt guys can do that, and I'll do the voice. Like, I heard there was a lot of that contractual type of stuff going on there. Now, my big thing with him doing more of the suit stuff in season 2 is, you know, you got to make sure you are the Mandalorian and you're not just a body in there. Like 25,000 people played Boba Fett throughout the history of the character. And even a ton of people played Darth Vader at this point. Even in the original trilogy, there were several guys doing the suit stuff, from the sword fighting and David Prowse and all that. Sure. But with the Mandalorian, like, there are certain mannerisms, and he has a certain swagger and a certain way he tilts his head and stuff like that. And that comes down to the directors and Jon Favreau make sure there's that cohesiveness to it. Now, I went full nerd on this, and I looked up heights. So, like, Brendan Wayne is 6 feet tall. Pedro Pascal, I'm like, oh, I bet he's short. I bet he's like 5'7". He's 5'11", so it's pretty close. That's not bad. They can pull that off there. And, you know, we've seen Pedro Pascal. He is a very good physical actor, from what he does with Narcos, especially Game of Thrones. He knows how to fight and do fighting scenes like that. So I don't think it'll be an issue at all. And I actually, just for the sake of the organic way of making movies and us talking to Eunice Huthard about all the actors did their stunts, and it was awesome, and it was great, and it felt real, and you know that that's Adam Driver in the suit. I like the idea of knowing that Pedro Pascal is going to be the one talking to, you know, Cara Dune and that sort of stuff, especially when you hear Gina Carano talk about how much fun she had doing these scenes and these fights and stuff. Now, if they come back and do the gallery again for season 2, he can actually talk about doing it instead of saying, like, oh, really? That sounded fun. I was in the studio practicing my vocal lines.
Holding a pillow, yeah.
Yeah, I think overall, this rumor sounds, like I said, it sounds safe because he needs to be in the suit for a minute to surpass what he did in season 1. So it's a safe bet rumor. It's not someone taking a risk on their reputation. But it's all good to me. I like the fact that he's going to be in the suit more, and I'm down. I dig it.
Yeah, Lacey, what are your thoughts?
I think John nailed it. I think it's one of those things that's like, of course they're going to put him in the suit more. And like John said, there were a lot of like somewhat insider info saying it was like contracts, other shows, money, etc. I know I heard from people that were on set that were like, yeah, the majority of the show is not him. It's stunt guys. I feel a little bad for the stunt guys because they were probably pumped to play Mando. And so if he's in the suit more, yeah, that's great. But I feel bad for those guys because they're probably like, oh man, like,
getting that tea.
Yeah, getting the tea like Adam Driver's stunt double. Yeah. No, he's just wearing the wig for fun. Yeah, no, I'm excited he's in the suit more, but I don't think that necessarily makes a difference just because of who the character is. His voice is what's important. So even if they were like, no, he's not in the suit, I'd be like, okay, that doesn't bother me. It's all good. Yeah. But like John said, I think I'm going to be more excited about the gallery series if they do it again, because like he said, he's just sitting there like, oh, cool. Yeah, I did the voice sometimes. Yeah, right. I wore the helmet that one episode, you know. Mm-hmm. So I think it makes sense. And we heard this early on that he was going to be in the suit more, like way early on.
Mm-hmm.
So scheduling is one conflict here to my theory. It is true that if it was a scheduling conflict, then, you know, maybe that holds my theory in bad water.
Sure.
I don't know what I'm looking for. But I guess my thought here is that who's more expensive? Like if you're going to have him on set with a helmet on, who's more expensive? Pedro Pascal or one of the stunt doubles?
Pedro.
Probably Pedro.
Oh, it was rhetorical.
Right?
Sorry.
It wasn't rhetorical.
Oh. I thought you wanted me to answer the question. That's what I'm saying.
Well, you would say Pedro, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the answer to that is Pedro. So then, why him not being in the suit in season 1 starts to make sense, because they could also say, well, it's a helmet, and he, having him on set, we could do this with stunt doubles, and we think we can make it work. Him coming into season 2, and if he's in fact playing, more, he's going to be on set more. That proves to me that he will have his helmet off a lot less, or a lot more. I mean, helmet off a lot more this season, because the person, if they were having his helmet on, then they would just say, no, pay the stunt guy.
Right.
The only way my theory fails, like I said, is if it was in fact a scheduling thing, and he was like, no, I want to be there, but I can't. So they had to do the stunt guy. But now that he can be there, he can be there with the helmet on. But I don't think that's the case. I think scheduling, like John said, was not an issue. And having him in the suit on set means you're getting Pedro, or you're getting Mando with no helmet. A lot more.
That's a good point.
And I think it makes sense for the story too.
Yeah.
I think, these epic scenes where he's like delivering this dialogue, and then he's going to do his business, and he puts the helmet on, and we're like, yes.
Right.
I think that builds to the story.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And his arc, because the first season didn't want anybody to see it. Now in the second season, he'll be somehow okay with it, because they'll come up with some justification of how he's changed his mind, or he's changed his opinion about things.
Sure.
So
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think we will see him with the helmet off a bit more. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think this confirms no helmet in my mind.
Yeah.
Just,
and
not that he's just there.
One other thing about that, like, people are often, and I'm always trying to find out more and more, like, of the, like, jaded aspect of, like, movie making and filmmaking and stuff, and I'm always asking questions to anyone who, like, knows anything about it or anything. And it's so much goes into, like, not the politics of it, the business, but, like, if an actor has issues with, like, negotiations on his contract, and they're like, well, we're not going to pay you this much, and he's like, well, then, I'll just do voice work, and you could use the stunt guy. Like, I think that stuff happens, like, a lot.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and it's not always personal. It's just like business. So I think it's quite possible that sort of situation could have come up. They're like, we want Pedro Pascal, but we only want to pay him this much because it's the first show, and blah, blah. And his people are probably like, well, then he'll do it, but he's not walking around for 6 months in that uniform if you're going to pay him this much.
Right.
And he's not having the discussions. He's having his PR, his agent and stuff do it. So
yeah, the agents are the ones doing it. Yeah.
And then he rolls up and he's like, hey, everybody, it's all love. It's all good. But meanwhile, he's like, all right, good. My guys went to bat for me. Now all I have to do is go to the studio. So are these the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or the agents of Helmet? I think it's both. I think it's the agents of Beskar, actually.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's always fun to, like, dig into that sort of stuff, because anytime you bring those, like, things up, you're like, no way. You could tell in the documentary he loves it. He's all about it. It's like, doesn't mean he doesn't love it. It's
Publicists and agents are the ones that save face.
Yeah. Yep.
They're the ones that are mean.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about who might be showing up in Mandalorian season 2?
Not really.
Besides Pedro Pascal?
No.
I actually want to hear your thoughts on this.
No.
My thoughts?
Yeah. This next story, yeah.
Oof.
Well, the next story is that we're hearing potentially that a live-action Thrawn could be rumored for upcoming projects. Being cast for upcoming blanket projects. This comes from Diz Insider, and they're getting that information from Daniel Reichman, who has given information as we were kind of talking about this beforehand, but John says he has a lot of information on, like, Marvel and superhero content and stuff, and he'll probably touch on that as well. But not a random person on Twitter just saying this. There's a little bit of leeway here. My quick thoughts on this, Lacey.
Don't give me quick. I want your full thoughts.
No, he may not have full
it'll
thoughts.
Be quick.
Yeah.
Oh.
It'll be quick. Because I think this might be the story that broke the camel's back on my opinions here, and I think I'm just done. I do not care. I don't care
about Thrawn.
I want Thrawn.
Yeah.
I want Ezra. I want Sabine. I want Ahsoka. I want Rex. I want Boba Fett. I just don't care. Like at this point, it's and I'm saying this. He has leeway here. But at the same time, like I don't even want to pay attention anymore. They're just characters coming at me all the time, and they're like, "Hey, we're hearing that this character that you're familiar with from an animated property or a book or something is going to be making their live action debut." And I'm like, "That sounds wonderful." I don't believe it, but when it happens, I'm going to be pumped. I'm not. It's not worth looking into anymore to try to figure out where this character could be tied in, or does it make sense and stuff. It's just I just kind of give up. Honestly, I'm done.
I'm gonna let John go because I feel like I know what his response is gonna be.
Look, we could talk about this till we're blue in the face. Let's be honest, guys.
Did you write that down?
No, I didn't write that one down. But. It's and this I don't comment on where the sources come from. We talk about rumors if they're making the rounds and there are stories on them. And Star Wars Newsnet, we wrote about it as a rumor, right?
Sure.
But again, this falls into my thing of like another easy rumor, and I feel like I haven't done the rumor and theory review in a few weeks, but I feel like this is kind of like a mixture of that and TRB. But it's like. You have all these people, like James just said, that look like they're going to be there, like Ahsoka, first and foremost, but then maybe also Sabine, maybe also Rex, maybe also these other characters. Maybe we see Ezra. Yeah. And then it's like when you see those, it's like, well, maybe Thrawn then?
Yeah.
Throw it out there?
Just like your other thing, you said it's an easy thing to say.
Yes, right.
Is he going to be in the suit for 41 seconds? Okay, well, at this point, I think you can get clicks by saying, I'm hearing insert Rebels character here is going to be showing up in a future live-action debut.
And look, I'm not saying that's what this guy did here. I'm just saying I'm using an example to talk about the ease of what this rumor is. Because... if there's like a new Muppet movie and they're like, and like the Hollywood Reporter's like, we can confirm that most of the characters from Sesame Street are going to be coming over to the Muppet movie. We heard Big Bird, Snuffleupagus, Elmo, Bert,
Oscar.
Ernie. And then I'm like, guys, I'm hearing Oscar might be showing up in this Muppet movie. I just picked the last one.
Yeah, Telly's gonna be there.
So
with his tuba.
Telly, gotta love Telly. It's just one of I don't know, and I don't like it, James. I don't like. Like, there's another 3 Thrawn books coming out, right? And then like, what they're gonna bring him into live action? It's like he's not that important of a character, guys. I'm sorry, he's not. Like he existed throughout this whole timeline of this galactic civil war and somehow missed all the movies. The real reason being he didn't exist after the first 3 were made, until after the first 3 were made. But like, when's enough? Like, I don't understand it. And I get that there's huge Thrawn fans out there, and they probably wouldn't be huge Thrawn fans right now if Timothy Zahn didn't come back to write Thrawn, because they would say whoever took over to write it doesn't write Thrawn good. So it's a good thing they brought him back to save us all some headaches, first of all. But what they're gonna do is, did Timothy Zahn consult on this live action Thrawn? Because if he didn't, then it's not really Thrawn. And we're gonna hear all that, and we're gonna say they ruined Thrawn, and they should have cast this person, should have cast that person. When you weigh the it's like the whole, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like the effort to bring him in. Like when you weigh the value and reward of him being in live action versus just like the headache that's going to come with like all the baggage that comes with this guy who was a Legends expanded universe. You're going to have that crowd. You're going to have the book crowd. And then you're going to have the animated crowd. And then they're going to say, there's your live action Thrawn. And it's going to be like Michael Fassbender. They're going to be like, that guy sucks. And is it going to be worth him being in live action? I don't know. I really don't know. Where would he show up? Is it going to be? Are they going to do a full live action Rebels sequel? Because we had heard one of the other rumors coming from Noah and Corey. I forget Corey's last name, but Noah Outlaw. They're saying 100% convinced that the Rebels follow up is coming this fall and it's animated. So
yeah.
I don't know what's going on, and I'm not trying to like bury Thrawn here. I'm not the biggest Thrawn fan, but just like from all those logistic points, I think maybe people could level and understand what I'm getting at here in terms of does it need to be done?
Yeah.
And maybe it's time to do this whole thing that they were saying where we're going to start telling new stories with new characters and stuff, with the exception of course, a Solo follow-up. But,
Yeah, and I agree with that. I don't know what the line is on new characters, because a live-action version of Thrawn is new to a lot of Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
But I want to hear Lacey's thoughts. Lacey, we've brought ours to the table. Where are you at?
I actually am glad you guys went first, because I don't really have a lot of thoughts. I think Thrawn's kind of boring. I get why people like him, and my one Thrawn story is I was there when they announced him for Rebels at Celebration in Europe in 2016, and people went nuts. And I was pumped for them, because you feed off that energy. You're like, yeah, great. I saw him on the banner at Celebration 2019, and people were pumped. It looked like Pierce Brosnan. Hilarious. Other than that, it's like, okay, here comes another character, James, kind of like you said, like, here's another one that would be great, but it's just one more character that they're throwing out there. And I'm kind of also on feeling what John said, which is like, we were promised new Star Wars content, and all I keep seeing is that they're reiterating stuff that's already been done and told. So I'm kind of in the attitude of, yes, of course I want Solo too, because they need to continue those stories, and yes, they need to kind of do Han Solo stuff again, which makes sense. But mixed into that story is new characters with Kira and Enfys Nest and other people. So there are potentially new characters that can be brought in, mixed in with older characters. But I just feel like you could do anything in Star Wars. You could, at this point, like literally anything. The Skywalker saga's over. So why are we just dragging out all these characters that we already, I don't know. And I don't want that to sound super negative, because I know people are like, I love Thrawn. That's great. Yeah. I'm all for it. I hope you get it. I just would love to see new stuff that I've never seen before.
I hope they don't get it.
Okay.
Like I said before, I could talk about Thrawn, and I could talk about how I think, he could fit in, and I think it would be new enough even if you were in the Empire era, let alone doing Thrawn in the Chiss Ascendancy and everything that's going on in that unknown region, and literally like the only character that anybody's ever heard of is one character, right. Thrawn,
yeah.
Sure.
And then maybe like a little admiral or something that got mentions in a book or something. But like you could just tell a whole story that is over here, and it feels so different and weird than regular what we're used to Star Wars, but it's all Star Wars and it all connects. Mm-hmm. It's really cool. But I'm not going to do that because I'm done. I'm done talking about the importance of the rumor that there's a potentially a live-action Thrawn series. Maybe they're kicking it around. I heard from somebody that they pitched an idea once to somebody, and they said, "I'll have to think about that." Like, that sounds like it could work. We'll talk.
And when is this happening?
Development is so loose that, yeah, live-action Thrawn rumored to be cast for upcoming projects. I don't know.
Like, they like the first of 3 Thrawn books is coming out in September, I think.
Something like that, yeah. Fall.
Right?
The Chiss Ascendancy, yeah.
I don't know what it's called.
Ascendancy.
Yeah,
it's the Ascendancy trilogy, so it's another.
It has that cool like red cover.
It's the 3rd Thrawn book trilogy, the 2nd that is canon.
Oh yeah, the first of the 3rd trilogy.
Right. It's like this guy has a lot of content, and now they're gonna bring him. Yeah. They brought him into Rebels, and it's like all right, and now they're gonna bring him into live action. it's a lot of Thrawn. And, I've even seen people who like Thrawn say, like, because I always do this thing with our Twitter account where I'll take the Star Wars News Ed article and just basically just ask people to quote tweet and say, what are your thoughts on this? So we can get a vibe of what our listeners think.
Sure.
And like even like the Thrawn fans, they're like, I love Thrawn, but it's like, it's enough. Like, I'm good.
It's not enough. The next story. I'm pumped about this next story.
Yeah.
And I'm bored with Thrawn, so I'm moving on.
Well, the next story, because Lacey's done with Thrawn. I'm done too.
I'm trying
right?
to work yawn into Thrawn, and I can't think of anything. So,
well, if we're being honest, this story is the best story of the night, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. Don't steal my ideas.
Oh,
don't steal. He already did steal.
Look who's
It's
hijacking
gone.
who now? Because you hijacked me on what was it? On our Patreon video.
I'm like Jon Favreau. I get super passionate and talk over people. Go ahead, James.
Ahmed Best is not talking over Clayton Sandell when they were doing an interview for GMA. No, we got this really cool description of what this new Star Wars show is going to be. Star Wars. Now I'm forgetting.
Jedi Temple
Star Wars
Challenge.
Jedi Temple Challenge. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he is the host, and he plays a character named Kelleran Beck. And I don't know, for a long time, it's been this kind of ambiguous thing. We knew it was coming. We had a logo. We kind of had an idea. But we recently got a trailer, so we can talk about that. And we recently got this interview with Clayton Sandell, interviewing him about what the show is and what his expectations are, and him even potentially returning to Jar Jar Binks. We got answers to all these things that we've probably been wondering for a very long time. So, John, I'm starting with you on this one. What do you
don't
think?
start with John.
So start with Lacey. Yeah, you can start with.
All right, start with Lacey. Yeah. Break the mold. All right, Lacey.
Yes.
Why is this the best story of the night?
Because as a 90s kid, this show is legit a combination of Star Wars and Legends of the Hidden Temple and Guts, all thrown together.
Why Guts?
Because
they keep hearing Guts.
Because
it's
they
like,
climb
but
up.
Legends of the Hidden Temple covers it.
Okay, Legends of the Hidden Temple because they have all these challenges, and then they also have Nick Arcade because they have to go into a computer area, and then they also have the part where they climb up that mountain. That's great. It looks like the aggro crag.
Okay, sure.
Which, by the way, I always look up on eBay when aggro crag pieces are going for sale. Mm-hmm. They're super expensive, but I digress.
Wait, you're looking to buy a piece of the aggro crag?
No, I just always look if they're up for sale. Like,
if any of our listeners or viewers out there have a piece of the aggro crag, send it to Lacey, and we'll trade you a TRB shirt.
It's worth more.
It's
than
always
a
the same piece. It was like this.
It's a glow in the dark. It's so
piece.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
It's like, yeah.
So yeah, my whole childhood was that, and I love those types of game shows. So when growing up, you're like, oh, I wish they would bring those back. And this is what they're doing is they're bringing back those type of shows for kids that are, they've got physical challenges and then knowledge and growth and stuff like that. And I loved how Ahmed Best talked about it, how he said it was about learning and challenging yourself to become a Jedi. And he made sure that he said that, if they failed, it wasn't, hey, you're out. It was go back and try again, which is like such an important message to kids is like, once you fail once, it's not just end and then you move on. Like you have to go back, relearn, do it again. And John and I actually talked to Scott, one of the show creators at the premiere for The Rise of Skywalker, and he was just so excited about this show and said it was like his one dream to create a kids game show. So it's really cool to see that it actually happened for him because you're like, yes, like living your dreams. But then like the fact that Ahmed Best got to be a Jedi is like he looks one of the that was more of like a congratulatory like you did your thing, not like I'm bragging that I talked to him.
I did it to myself too because you dropped me in there.
Oh.
So for the audio listeners, I did the sweet brag sign to Lacey and she didn't like that very much.
John thinks I sweet brag all the time, and my sweet brags are giving context to the stories so that everybody's on the same page when I'm giving a story.
I know. It's called...
So I was hanging out with Ozzy Osbourne, and he was like...
Do you know Ozzy? He's a musician.
I don't know if everybody has gotten the
chance to hang out with Ozzy, but
I said I spoke to him. I didn't say
Lacey,
we were like hanging out.
Yeah.
Lacey, that's called, you know what that's called? That's called old-fashioned chop breaking. And when podcast co-hosts are close, like tight, we can do that to each other.
Don't ever say tight again. Second of all,
Tight!
I wish we were on the show together because I would crush you.
I challenged Clayton, by the way.
I saw that.
Oh, okay.
I love that Clayton's still rocking the Resistance blue background.
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Still
I
looks,
saw that
still
too,
looks really
actually.
good. No, but I love that Ahmed Best got to be a Jedi and that they tied it into a story. And when he talked about how he created these backstories of like who his character was and how it could fit into the bigger story of Star Wars, I just loved all of it, and I can't wait to watch the show. It's going to be super fun, and I wish I was a kid right now that I could go on the show right now. Hopefully they'll make an adult version eventually. I could see them implementing this into the Star Wars parks somehow. Some type of like show that they do with little kids.
Yeah, I mean they do the thing. They do the thing where like you can fight against Darth Vader or Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
That's outside of Batuu. So I don't know.
Right,
maybe
it's at Star
do
Tours,
something,
right?
But
The Disney
that's
World
outside
one
of
is.
Star Wars. Yeah, it has its own name, but I can't remember what it is. Someone's screaming at their radio right now, but yeah, that's actually the spot where you can see that famous like Boba Fett dancing thing.
Yes.
That's what that's from.
Yeah.
Yep.
From Star Wars weekends back in the day. Yeah.
But no, John, do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah. So, first of all, Clayton did a great job.
He's the best.
He somehow got, I don't know how he did it because he didn't even pry for it, but he got Ahmed Best to break a little info about the show and his character that hadn't previously been released, which is that his character has some sort of connection, doesn't mean related, but some sort of connection to Mace Windu.
Yes, that was really cool.
And I think it may have to do with the lightsaber because he said his character has a purple lightsaber.
Yeah.
So did he
that.
recover Mace Windu's and repair it? Is that the connection? That's my guess. He also said
his lightsaber is also available as one of the
Kelleran
designs
back?
in. Yes.
Wow. Since when? Did it just happen?
No, I mean, like, I think it always has been. I think basically
That's cool.
Kelleran Beck's lightsaber is like Ahmed Best went to the saber shop at Galaxy's Edge and then built one, and then that's his saber.
Oh, interesting.
So if you go, you can put together that same saber.
Oh, very cool.
I just love that it seems like they made him a part of the show in the sense of like let him be creative, let him make it his own, and
Well,
like
he's
really
a
gave
producer.
That's
Right,
that's
right.
the other thing. He's a
Yeah.
producer of the show.
I love that.
Yeah, he has autonomy. He said that his character is actually related to Ahmed Beck, which was that cameo he had in Attack of the Clones.
The bar.
So that may be explored, and I love that he seems peace and happy to be back with Star Wars. It doesn't feel like it's one of those things where he's back because he feels he owes it to himself. I feel like he's
Right.
back on his terms, and he's been not only given like this, hey, go host this show. It's no, help us cultivate this show and give it heart and give it life and tell us your character's story. How does he connect to this? And he probably worked with the story group in terms of doing that and what he was allowed to do, what he wasn't allowed to do. So I like that. And then also, like Lacey said, the stuff about the show is really fun. And I could see kids loving watching this because you
Yes.
feel like you're in Star Wars and you can do this and you can go on this adventure and learn to become a Jedi. I love all that stuff.
All those kids
but
are
the-
like teenagers now. They filmed this so long ago.
Yeah, right. That's the other thing. So now they moved it from Disney Plus to the Star Wars Kids YouTube channel. I'm not sure why. There's obviously reasons why they do that, but
I
the
don't know
PR
why
reason,
either.
the PR
Yeah.
reason is that so everyone can watch it who doesn't subscribe to Disney Plus. That's their PR answer.
Got it.
And you know what? let's just ride with that. Let's not dig
Sure.
any deeper than that. But I also love that Clayton asked him, would he want to play Jar Jar again? He said, I would, but it depends on the situation. And, you know, I'm not closed off to doing it. So if
What's on the page, right, is what he said?
Yeah, right. He'd be willing to do it. But he did seem like he would love to see this character explored, though, maybe. So I think he'd be more inclined to play this character somehow if that were possible. But either way, like, you look at this guy's story, and I was never, you know, when Phantom Menace came out, I was 16, right? So I was never drawn to Jar Jar in any stretch of the imagination. I didn't hate him. I didn't love him. Like, I just like, oh, all right, he's kind of annoying, whatever. But, like, I never, like, hated him the way he was abused over it and back in the day by critics, especially. They were so brutal. And then fans in the way that you can be in 1999, I guess, when there were message boards and that sort of stuff. And if people see him in public, they were probably very harsh to him. But he could have taken his life, this guy, and he's very candid about that. And for him to open up about that is really courageous, because that's a very serious thing that a lot of people, even people who have thought about it, don't ever reveal to anybody. And he's out there on the biggest stage revealing that to people. And I give him so much credit for doing that. It's very strong of him to do that. And now to see him where he is now in such a good place, it doesn't matter like what happens with this show. It doesn't matter what happens with any of this stuff. Like, to see this guy who is back in the Star Wars family coming out in celebration to a standing ovation, like, that's all. Everything else is a cherry on the sundae. That's all that needed to happen for his, like, arc within Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, both of you guys have covered, like, just about every aspect of the story. Every time I thought, like, oh, I could touch on this, it would get brought up.
My bad, bro.
So there's not really a whole lot more to say about this. I am looking forward to see if they're super surfacey because they know that it's mostly a kid show, or if they're gonna drop these little, like, I don't know, things that almost in a way like we'd be able to reference. Like, you know how sometimes Star Wars will, like, you'll be like, well, they said in this book or in this, like, even in this little animated thing or whatever. It would be interesting to be like, well, Kelleran Beck said this is how Jedis do things.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought you would have brought up that on Twitter. Someone asked him about, like, where this falls on the canon timeline. And his answer was like, oh, it's in its own little spot, kind of like Dragon Ball Z. Like, he gave a Dragon Ball Z
Oh, did he say that?
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, James, this is your moment, James.
Your one moment.
Let me look it
I don't
up.
even really know what he means.
Let me
by
look it
that.
up. Keep going.
Oh, actually, I might know what he means by that. But anyway,
Well, James,
yeah, no,
he did say there were
that
going to be
was the
Easter.
relation to the other character. He said, we don't know if it's his brother. We don't know if it's his father. And I think that's because, like Matt Martin always does, is anytime somebody wants an answer, he says that story hasn't been written or that aspect of the story hasn't been told yet. And I think they're just keeping it ambiguous as far as, like, when this character was doing this and when he was alive, because you got to think for roughly 1,000 generations, you know, this could be his great grandpa, but he's related. So they could do anything they really wanted. Yoda's involved, but I think maybe we might start to get a bigger picture if we started to see things like if Qui-Gon Jinn says something, you know, you're like, okay, well then this is past his birth, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I
I think it's
found the
definitely
tweet.
just in that, like, Phantom Menace era.
Yeah. I found the tweet.
What's the tweet?
So someone said, have we determined when the show takes place? Of course you get some type of person asking about canon, right? And he answered, here is my completely unauthorized, non-canon, fierce fan explanation. I like to think...
So it's official.
Yeah. I like to think the temple exists in force space, a place beyond galaxy chronology. Reading. Reading. Like the hyperbolic time chamber in Dragon Ball Z.
Oh.
James, here's your moment. What is the hyperbolic time chamber? Time chamber in
You have
Dragon Ball
6
Z.
seconds.
John, come on. If it was baseball, you'd be like, let's talk for 20 minutes.
Thursday, we'll do that.
Yeah, no. The hyperbolic time chamber is kind of this spatial. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's this room, this building that you go in, and it's like a void. And when you go in there, you on the outside world, people will assume you've been in there for a year, or I'm sorry, for a day. But when you come out, you will have been in there for a year. So it was a way for them to say, oh, we have to fight this guy in like 6 days. So they were able to go into this and they were able to train for like 6 years and then come out. And it's weird because they come out, it might even be like an hour. I thought it was a day and a year, but it's been so long. But yeah, the point is that it's kind of like this.
It's like Narnia. You go into Narnia and
yeah,
you come
exactly.
back out and you're a kid.
That's a good example too. Yeah, you just kind of like you walk in and you're in this like I guess like force zone, like a world between worlds kind of place where or actually I shouldn't say that. I should say what's the one from Clone Wars that everybody loves? That I'm blanking on the name.
Mortis?
You guys know it. With the father and the daughter.
Mortis?
I can't. I'm blanking. Mortis. That's it. Yeah, they go to
Mortis.
And they were like there for like 6 days, and then they're like, "You were only gone for an hour."
Yeah, it's like
Right.
Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey crying and stuff.
Let's just keep naming examples.
It's kind of like no.
We just literally were like,
Oh,
it's
James,
like
here's
this
one. Here's
and
one.
this.
When Marty comes back and Jennifer's still sleeping on the swing.
Are you talking Back to the Future?
Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah.
All right.
I was gonna say yeah, but he's older. But I guess they would.
I think Narnia is the
Yeah.
best example because they live their whole lives and then come out and they're back to being kids again.
Those stories didn't age well, though. Let's be honest.
That's true, but that's different than the Dragon Ball one because when they go in, they come out and they are older.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you're right. My example's terrible. Never mind.
No, it's not terrible. I think
I'm
it
saying
lines up with.
my example, my own opinion. It's bad. Not that you said
Yeah.
it's bad.
But was Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka older, or did they go back to being 6 days younger?
I don't know, but I saw this tweet and I thought James has been waiting for this moment.
Dragon Ball gets referenced all the time, and you guys just like overlook it.
On every episode, it gets referenced.
Yeah. No.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, well then, is that it? Is that everything we wanted to say about Jedi Temple Challenge?
I'm interested to see what their team names are. Are they Silver Snakes? Purple Parrots? That's a Legends of the Hidden Temple joke.
No,
Everyone
I know.
knows.
Yeah.
Everyone knows. What
Okay.
Yeah.
Neither of you
Everyone
responded.
knows.
All right. I'll tell you know what?
Because I was thinking, are they on teams?
Ready?
They
Wait,
are.
let's do this.
I
Let's
see
do
the
this.
kids,
Let's see
but
if you
I don't
guys
know.
can volley with me here. Ready? Dare.
Double Dare?
Double Dare.
I'll take the
Physical
physical challenge.
Yeah.
Then Mark Summer's like, all right, you got to fill up this jar past this,
No,
and
the
you got
best
to
is
grab the
still
flag.
guts. When James and I were talking about guts.
I liked Double Dare when I was growing up, but if you go back and watch it now, I'm like, this is dumb. This isn't even a show.
Oh, well, hold on. The
This
obstacle
is like-
course, like the Sunday
This
slide.
is like them being like, do you want us to ask you this random piece of trivia, or do you run around with a cup on your head trying to get liquid inside?
No, but
and you gotta fill it up
All
to a
right, that's
line.
fine. But the
Don't
end part
worry.
is cool.
It's either going to be super easy or impossible.
And you're
You're going to
just-
have like 3 drops in
Yes, and you're just yelling at the people on the screen because they're tilting their cup like this. And you're like, if you just stood straight up, it would fill up.
Can we be honest about two
Yeah.
things?
Yeah. go ahead.
One, the obstacle course at the end was amazing, and everyone wanted
The
to do
Jaws
it.
thing. Yeah.
You go down the Sunday slide, and you do the bike, and you pick the boogers, and you jump into the pool, and all that stuff.
there. Didn't somebody like recently
PB&J
do
sandwich.
this?
Yeah, they brought it back for a
They
little
brought it
bit.
back, but and
No, I meant like a celebrity got to do it or something. I don't know.
probably Josh Gad, if we're guessing.
Yeah.
And number 2, Mark Summers, amazing host.
He is the best host. I liked What Would You Do?
I
the
liked
big
What
wall.
Would You Do way
You
better
guys
than
are
Double Dare.
crazy.
Pie
if you
coaster,
think
pie chair.
no, you're
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
The best is when they'd put the token in the wall and then the hand would come out with the card. It's clearly some guy backstage with his hand in like a furry glove.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy now that you think about it. It's just like, yeah.
I loved Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Like that's what I grew up on.
Oh, me too.
I think my favorite like game show was definitely Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Not
Though. I
Guts?
think most people did. It's weird that not.
Now we gotta
Guts.
go to Mo.
I would watch Guts, but
Wait, what's your favorite game show as a kid of all time? Real quick.
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah.
I would say that too. Unless you're probably gonna pop one out, and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Figure
about
It
that.
Out came at the end.
I have one that nobody I talk
Sorry.
to really remembers. And I don't know if it was on Nickelodeon or not, but it was a game show about video games.
Nick Arcade.
No. I can't think of it. I saw a clip of it recently on YouTube, and I was like, I gotta remember it.
My
But
friend
you
Ruben was on Nick Arcade back in the day. He was a contestant.
How did he win?
I don't know. I haven't really asked him.
Cool
He just
story,
posted
Ruben.
the-
Thanks. So you play video games against the other contestants, and if you win, you get at the end you get a certain amount of time where you run through this whole store and you get to Velcro games to your body, and you get to keep whatever sticks to you. And as a kid, that was like running through like Scrooge McDuck's gold vault. Like it was like, oh my
Do
god,
you
he's got all these
remember?
Nintendo games.
Every
Someone
year-
knows what show it was called.
Yeah, every year Nickelodeon would do that sweepstakes where they'd let you run through a Toys R Us for like
Yes.
2 minutes.
With like $100 or whatever.
No, they let you fill your card up. They
Oh,
were
is that
like,
what it
we
was?
give you 10 minutes
Yeah,
to fill your card
yeah,
up.
but I'm always like, why do these people? Same for like Supermarket Sweet. Like
Go for
they
the
would
hams.
go like for random things,
Hams.
and I'm like, I don't get why they're going. No, they would go for turkeys.
Diapers.
Hams, turkeys, diapers, coffee are the most expensive ones, and you always throw those in your car first.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I'm crazy on the Supermarket Sweet, but I remember the kids picking or whatever. They always ran to stuff, and I'm like, you're having more trouble getting it into the
Yeah,
cart.
super
than
soakers
just-
were always the thing they went for.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Going for the Barbie dream house. You
You
could
know what
have
would be-
60 Barbies by now.
They would do a better job, or at least a faster job on Supermarket Sweep if they were able to use a pod racer.
Are you trying
John
to...
gave me 6 seconds to talk about Dragon Ball. And then he's okay with the show going on for like 3 minutes about Nickelodeon game shows.
I do love Nickelodeon game shows. Maybe I should start a podcast about it.
Yeah, I'm sure the market on that hasn't been tapped yet.
All right, way to get sarcastic and rude for no
No,
reason.
I'm serious. Whereas Star Wars, there's every day that's a new podcast. So
Leave in the
Nickelodeon-
comments if you want a Lacey Gilleran Nickelodeon 90s podcast.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you might expand it to Nickelodeon and we could do like Clarissa Explains It All, like
I loved Clarissa Explains It All.
like after show episode discussions.
What would you call
other
your
things, like-
Nickelodeon podcast?
Probably, I
Nickelodicast?
don't know. No.
That was clunky. Not a big fan.
The
Anyway,
Snick show.
I would call it You
moving
Can't
on.
Do That on Podcast.
you can't do that.
Was that Nickelodeon?
Yeah,
you can't do that on TV.
It's not.
That was
You
Nickelodeon?
can't do that on
was
television.
like
No, you can't do that on
Television.
TV.
I thought it was like ABC or something.
No, it's
I thought it was
Canadian,
like
but
a-
they aired it on Nickelodeon.
Oh, did they?
Salute Your Shorts
All right. Well,
just
that's it.
had an anniversary the other day. And I was like,
Who did?
damn. Salute Your Shorts?
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good show.
Yep.
Star Wars is
I hope
good
we
too.
never part, guys.
Get it right or pay the price.
Yeah. All right. Let's do the Patreon Padres. Lacey.
All right, guys, it's time for the Patreon pod race. All I could just think about just now is Zeke the plumber.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry, he's not here. Anyway, so there's lots of ways you can support us in our ramblings about Nickelodeon and Star Wars. You can like this episode, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN, or if you want even more videos, content, etc., you can head over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. We put out 8+ mini episodes a month, from bonus questions to polls to all different behind the scenes stuff, and monthly Q&As, mailings, etc. And it starts from $2 a month up to our top tier, our generals. So I want to start with First of all, thanking our generals for their support. And so thank you to Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neel Shah, David Probus, John Risi, Micah Harrison, Tampa Movie Guy, Michael Gaines, Jetta Rosewater, Beer Fett, Russ Harbison, Kendall, Gelner, and Val Trichkov. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
So the way the pod race works is we give some time to our generals to be a part of the show. We ask them a question, and they give us their answers, and we respond to them. So the question this week was to General Jeremy Myers, who just had a lovely baby girl, Olivia. I hope she's doing well. And his question was, what is a moment in Star Wars that still makes you laugh out loud, no matter how many times you've seen it? So Jeremy, take it away.
Hey, what's up, guys? From sweltering California. Hope you're all well. I love all the comedy in Solo. It's pretty good and gets me, but the lines that are like really good that make me crack up every time is Rogue One, with K2SO and Jin and Cassian, and K2SO is just completely dry humor, you know, being a droid and not being able to show emotion, but still being able to make funnies, and asking Jin if he knew it was him, wasn't him when she shot the other droid, or you know, her calling him target practice, and just everything about that dynamic of those three characters will always make me laugh. So hope you're all well. TRB, stay strong. May the force be with you guys.
All right. Awesome job, Jeremy. Hope everything is well. I love that he just gave us a pod race at work. His boss is probably like, what are you doing? Hope you're keeping cool in California. John, what did you think of his moment?
I'm going to pass the baton to James.
Oh, James, what did you think of his moment?
I agree. I mean, I think that the Jin and K2 and Cassian, K2 is just in general as a character, I think, you know, had a perfect amount of humor that for whatever reason really like encapsulates what we're looking for in humor in Star Wars. And I think all of that stems from Anthony Daniels and, you know, back and forth with R2-D2 and all that. But I think that Star Wars really succeeded when they did Rogue One, because they brought together, you know, these real characters, and then this like not real character, but like he's there to provide the breakaway and the sense of humor, and I think it was perfectly nailed. So I'm 100% with that answer. I like all of K2SO. My favorite K2SO joke though is probably the it's high. Like, I think that gets me every time. I think.
Yeah, I think that's K2SO is so funny. He would probably be one of the funniest characters in Star Wars, I think, and that's in thanks to Alan Tudyk. He's just such a good actor. He's a great improv actor, so he was able to take those moments
He's
where
a good pirate.
A pirate, Steve. Yeah. So I think he was able to take those moments like the one you mentioned, James, which I'm sure were just him kind of just playing off the moment. I think my favorite one has to be the slap. It's just so good where he just and there's more where that came from. If you speak to me again, which was totally improv, and that's why you see Diego Luna kind of crack up. But yeah, great moment. John, what did you think?
Great job, Jeremy. I love that you obviously give a nod to all the humor in Solo, because I think Solo nails a lot of old school Star Wars humor, fronted by the writings of legend Larry Kasdan.
Even just the shower where he walks in, he's like, "You couldn't wait."
Can we have done this one at a time? Like, come on. Yeah. So, but Rogue One, it surprises me because when I think of Rogue One in a bubble, I don't think of a funny movie. So, and I know it has funny parts, but it wouldn't have been where my brain went immediately. So you are shining a new light on that for me. So I appreciate that. So I got to revisit that and try to isolate those moments. But I love that, everyone has those moments in Star Wars where no matter how many times you see it and you know the moment's coming, when it hits, you still like, even if it's very slight, you're like,
Yeah.
So I'm glad he has those moments through K2 because I like Alan Tudyk too, and I think
So
like
funny.
James kind of said, you need the actors to sell those because he's being digitized over, and you need the actors to react well enough with the timing and all that, and that goes down to good direction too. So Gareth Edwards and everyone else involved there. So
Yeah.
no, good job, Jeremy, and I hope you're well. I know you said it's sweltering in California. It's starting to heat up here out east, but hope you and the family are well. Thanks for taking the time to do the pod race. Looks like you're busy over there, so keep at it. And like you said, stay strong, man.
Real quick, didn't we do a Kessel run on funniest moments in Star Wars?
Yes, I think we did because I did
did.
Han Solo in the detention center was one of mine, where he's
Yeah.
like, "We're all fine, thank you."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know how I do Kessel runs, I don't tell you guys, and I felt like you were both like caught off guard and surprised when I mentioned the "Are you kidding me? I'm blind" moment.
Oh,
yeah. Are
that
you
is
kidding me?
really
I'm
funny.
blind.
Yeah.
It reminded me because John, you said when I think of that movie, I don't think of a funny movie, and I'm like, like some of the funniest Star Wars is in Rogue One.
Yeah.
If you want to
Yeah,
include that
yeah.
and some of the other stuff K2SO says.
Agreed.
Not that was K2, but yeah.
Well, Jeremy, great job. We look forward to chatting with you around the community, and we hope you are well, and thank you for your support. And now we're going to go back to John for Ask the Resistance.
Yes, it is time to hear from you guys. So let's fire up your questions. Ask the Resistance time.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Okay, so before we get into this, I just want to remind everybody that throughout the month of June, and maybe even extended into July a little bit, we're going to do a giveaway contest where if you have Apple Podcasts or the podcast app on your iPhone, rate us over there. So go find us, subscribe to us, and leave us a rating or review. Hopefully 5 stars. That'd be cool. But take a screenshot and tweet it to us at RBATSWNN using hashtag RateTheResistance. That's all you got to do. Go there, rate us, screen grab it, tweet it with the hashtag, and you're in to win an unavailable shirt. James is wearing the sweatshirt of it right now. The variant Make Solo 2 happen. The white of the logo with the red background. We will make that available just to one of you. And to enter to win, it's easy. Just do what I just said. And we're going to run that through June. Maybe dip into July a little bit. We'll see how it goes. But be sure to do that. It's an easy way to enter to win this cool shirt that you can't pick up right now in our stores. So good luck. And what's good about it is you're also helping us in the meantime. So we really appreciate that. But now it is time to hear from you guys. So let's get to your questions. We're going to go first to Alex Zukas at Zubaka, who asked, do you think the final episode of the gallery series on The Mandalorian will include a trailer for The Mandalorian Season 2? If not, when will we see the trailer? So Lacey, let's see what you think on this.
Hey, Alex, how's it going? Hope you're well. Thanks for your question. Still love your Twitter
Thanks for
handle.
calling.
Zubaka. Okay. Do I think they're going to play the trailer for season 2? I think it would be a smart marketing move, but probably not because we're still a ways out. Supposedly Mandalorian's coming out in October, so that's a ways away. So they're going to probably wait until August or September to post that trailer because they don't want you to forget about it, which honestly, who's going to forget about it? But general audiences will, not the diehard Star Wars fans, so they're going to wait within a time frame.
Our generals.
What?
Our general audience.
Yeah. They definitely will not forget. But the normal people that look at Star Wars as, oh, that's fun, and not like, this is my life, they need to have it a little bit closer.
My life, it's now or never.
Anyway, I hope you like that answer. I would love a trailer at the end, but I don't think we're gonna get one. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I've kind of considered it, and now a special look at the Mandalorian season 2. You know.
Oh yeah,
I could see it.
Good answer. Good answer. It's like Family Feud. Good answer.
Potato
This is a big,
salad.
big game show themed episode today, guys. All right, James. This one's gonna go to you. This is from Nick T at the PJ Skittles. And Nick, what are you a Skittles fan? Are you like?
I
is that
love
your favorite
Skittles.
candy?
We've done this.
We have.
We've done this. Yes.
Have they responded?
We had a whole thing about Skittles, and then we even talked about the sour Skittles, the zombie
But
Skittles.
did they join in with the conversation? Did they say, "Hey guys, I saw you talk about it"?
I can't remember if
I do love Skittles.
if it was
though.
addressed.
All right. Well, anyway. Nick
Skittles.
T asks, do you think Darth Plagueis will appear in some form in the High Republic era content?
John, did you say Dark Plagueis? I'm just kidding.
It's okay. I can't say chronol.
No. It's not okay because I didn't say Dark Helmet. Or
Chronology.
You didn't.
Dark
Yeah.
Helmet.
Chronology.
Now you said Dark Helmet.
Oh, God.
I could say chronological.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Chronology.
Chronology.
Is what you're looking for.
Familiarity.
Familiarity.
Do I think Darth Plagueis will appear in some form in the High Republic era content? I think this is a math question, and I could be wrong, but I think the answer is no because he wouldn't be born yet. And I meant to look this up. I was going to try to look up the lifespan of a moon, but I don't think they live any particular long life. So I'm going to say that if Palpatine killed Darth Plagueis, let's say 20 years before Phantom Menace, then that's the High Republic takes place 180 years before his death. So he would have to be 180 years old. I'm just going to go with no, and I think 200 is just far enough for them to separate from most of this stuff. And if they do want to pull in a Sith, they have the opportunity to pull in a new character and design a new Sith that could later down the line teach some of those other ones, including Plagueis.
Right.
But it's not really like a mention, or he won't even be born yet, I don't think.
So
James, what has
basically,
been-
you're saying if two trains, one leaves from San Francisco, and one leaves from Coruscant, what time will they?
Solve for X.
Yeah.
What is canon of Plagueis at this point? Like, is it canon that he's a moon? Is it canon that with the lifespan on that? Is it,
I don't know about I'm sure the lifespan probably has been covered because there's other characters of that species in Star Wars. But
yeah, Attack of the Clones, one of those guys is a moon, right?
Your mom's
yes,
a moon.
yeah. And the Banking Clan are all moon from Clone Wars. But I'm fairly confident that it was confirmed that it is his species, and I think that comes from one of the books, and now I'm blanking on which one it was, but they've covered a little bit of Plagueis in is it Master and Apprentice? I don't think that's it. I think it was another one.
All right.
But we can move on to the next question. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Next one is by Matthew Vlasic. And he got his handle at Matthew Vlasic. So great job, Matthew. He asked, it seems studios are listening more and more to the fans. I hope so. Whether it's good or bad criticism, constructive or destructive. For example, seeing WB's release a Snyder Cut for Justice League. Do you think this is the best move for studios to rethink movies that they already made? So I think it depends on the situation, Matthew. I don't think fan bully campaigns are good. I think there's certain things where fans are just like, if they're angry about something, they're trying to say correct this or fix this. I didn't like that, so go reshoot it. Go remake Game of Thrones. And that stuff is just ridiculous. But and the Snyder Cut I think is different too. because I think the Snyder Cut thing is only actually happening because of the COVID-19 studio shutdowns. I think it just happened to work out in a situation where they're like, we can really capitalize on this where everything else is shut down. We have the actual filmed parts of this movie, and we could do post-production stuff to make it complete by chucking in $20 to $30 million. It's a good look for us from a PR standpoint that the fans were looking for this, and I know there's been bad Apple fans who kind of try to ruin that, but Zack Snyder, it's a good look for him because he had to leave production because of what happened with his daughter and all that stuff. And they got HBO Max, which they're going to put it on, and it's great for that relationship and to get more subscribers for that. So I think that the Snyder Cut thing is just it's like a I forget what you call that situation where something good comes out of something bad. Silver lining? I don't know. But I think that's a little different. Sonic the Hedgehog is another example where I think that it was good that they listened to the fans because the original design of Sonic was absolutely heinous. And I really think that movie would not have done as well if they kept that look for Sonic. I think they made him cuter. They made
There's
him
no
look.
way they could have. Yeah.
They made him look more like he did in the video games. And I think when you do that, you bring more of the old school fans to the table, and also if you make him cuter, you bring the younger kids to it to see it too. So I really do think that changed things for the better. But then you have Kathleen Kennedy, who says we listen to the fans and our ears always to the ground, and we want to hear what you guys think for good and for bad. They say that the Clone Wars was without a doubt brought back because of the passion of the fans. It looks like Ahsoka may have been a fan casting that came up from some artwork through Boss Logic that the actress got a hold of, and she campaigned for it. And look at us, we're hoping for Make Solo 2 happen. I think it's not just, is this good thing or is this a bad thing? I think it's for this situation, you have to go case by case basis. And I think studios handle it that way too. And they say like, well, we're not going to listen to this fan group who are saying like, oh, we ruined this franchise, so let's fix it. Like, screw you. But if fans are saying like, hey, we just want you to know we love this thing, then I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. But
Agreed.
Yeah, that's my answer on that.
Before we wrap up, it is not canon, I guess, that he is Moon. That is still Legends.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
But I thought they said that and I looked it up what book he was in, and it was in Tarkin. And I thought in Tarkin he was like, oh, when I was working with Palpatine before his master, Darth Plagueis, he was associated with the dark side of the Force. Like, yeah, it's my young bad Tarkin. But I did think this was interesting too when I was trying to read through, because there is a lot here about stuff. It does say. Oh man, now I lost it. No.
Oh no.
Okay, here it is. Sidious insisted his granddaughter to strike him down as he did with Plagueis, allowing Rey to read his mind and realize how he came back thanks to Plagueis' teachings. And I was like, yeah, there was stuff about Plagueis in the Rise of Skywalker novelization.
Interesting.
But it's kind of interesting that that is confirming that it was Plagueis' teachings that was able to allow him to do what he did. I don't know. And whatever. Side note. Whatever.
Yeah.
Hijacked. Whatever.
It's all good. So that brings us towards the end of the show. We want to thank everyone for listening and watching, being part of the Resistance. It is good to be back here doing this, getting our mind off of a lot that's been going on. If you are a fan of what we do here at TRB, make sure you do subscribe to us on any platform you prefer, whether that's YouTube, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts, we're probably there. So make sure you subscribe, because we do 2 episodes every week, Mondays and Thursdays, and we have the Mando Fan Show, which we're doing a couple more of on Fridays, and we'll be back this fall. Go to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for your latest Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. If you guys want to pick up some TRB stuff in terms of merch, you can go to teespring.com/stores/Resistance Broadcast. And just so you know, because of everything that's going on with the pandemic and the COVID-19 stuff, they've been having a lot of delays in terms of shipping and that sort of stuff. They've been understaffed and all that. So if you've been noticing things showing up late or they're not there yet, that's why that's happening. They're doing the best they can. And what's ironic about it is in their release to us to let us know about that, so we can really relay that information to everybody, they had said that they've been getting more orders than they didn't before the pandemic, because I guess more people are home and buying things through that way. So it's just like this not catch-22, but almost like a Murphy's Law thing. Like, well, we're getting more orders, but we have less people to fulfill this. So, we apologize. It's out of our hands, but that's why that's going on.
I can say that this shirt, I ordered it early in order to have it for Make Solo 2 Happen Day. I ordered it May 1st, and that was still in the everything that was going on with COVID and stuff. I didn't get this shirt until 1 week ago, as of like today, as you're watching this episode.
Right.
It was like, late May 29th or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I mean, all shirts and everything are coming. They're on their way. They're being printed. You didn't get lost in the mix. It's just kind of unfortunate that we switched over to the store at a specific time, and they're kind of, struggling to get things out.
Which
Right.
we switched it because we were like, oh, we're home. We have time. We can make the switch.
Yes. Yeah. It was going to be fully operational by the time our friends arrived, and unfortunately it was not. Got blown up.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. It's still there.
Still there. All right. So you guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. I know a lot of people are hurting out there, and there's a lot of really 2020 has been just an absolutely insane year. There's even they're trying to scare us with asteroids now, which are going to be 3 million miles away from Earth. So I think we're good there. We don't need to call Bruce Willis and company. But if you guys ever need anybody, you ever want to talk to me, I'm right there on Twitter, out in public, at Johnny Hoey. I'm there to support anybody who's going through a tough time or hurting, especially during everything that's going on right now. James, where can people get in touch with you and talk about Dragon Ball Z and all your sweatshirts that you're collecting that they can't purchase?
Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks. No, it was funny, man. I had a comment the other day, and this is really random too, but I had a comment the other day that was like, man, I used to associate you with the band and music and stuff like that, and now I just think of you as a Star Wars guy. And for a few people, there was a period where they were like, all he does is talk about Dragon Ball now, because I wasn't on Twitter, and when I came back to Twitter, I was involved with my Dragon Ball podcast that I had for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like constant Dragon Ball stuff. I was asking people questions. I was the host of that show, so I was like constantly pushing, asking questions and getting people involved. And yeah, it was all Dragon Ball all the time. And then I switched over to Star Wars.
And we're glad you did.
Lacey, what's up?
Yeah, Lacey, what's going on?
If people want to chat about Star Wars or need support or whatever, as always, I'm around on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran, and I hope that whatever pain and bad stuff people are going through right now, whether it's what is currently going on in the U.S. with Black Lives Matter to unemployment to COVID, anything that's going on, I hope that you guys know that we're here to support you in any way that we can, and I definitely am. I don't want to speak for these guys, but I'm sure they are too.
Well, without a doubt. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just hope that you're all well and safe and your families are well and safe. And I continue to see messages from you guys online about how our episodes are helping you during this time. And I just want you to know that that means so much to me, that we can help you in any way, even if it's talking about Star Wars for 2 to 3 hours a week. Because I can tell you right now that this is helping me as well. So thank you.
Oh, without a doubt. Me too. I think all of us. And thanks everybody for understanding why we didn't put out episodes on Thursday and Friday last week. There are a lot of people who were completely understanding of that, and we're glad to be back here. And to echo what these guys are saying, like we are honored to be your distraction or your support or your escape
Your
whatever,
new Nickelodeon podcast.
Yeah, your game show podcast, whatever. We are so happy to be here because everything that you're taking from us, we're feeding off that too. Coming down here and recording this, it really helps me out a great deal. So we appreciate everyone supporting us
John's
back.
literally in his basement.
Yeah, I am.
To play into that.
Yeah. No, but it's good to be back, and we were originally going to air our episode coming up on Thursday, last Thursday, obviously, but now we're excited to put this out Thursday. We had a great discussion with Ryan Ruocco, play-by-play announcer for the New York Yankees. Mm-hmm. Also, he does NBA, WNBA, ESPN. He does some boxing, I believe. He does all sorts of stuff. He has his own podcast too with CC Sabathia. But he brought his A game, and we talked the whole gamut. We didn't even focus on one thing. Just totally nerded out and geeked out about Star Wars with him, and the dude knows his stuff. So it's not just one of those, I like Star Wars, I'll pop on your podcast. Nope, he brought it, and we can't wait for you guys to check that out.
Huge prequel defender.
Yes.
Big prequel defender. A defender of all things. Yeah, prequelist. But we're very excited for you to check that out. So that'll be on Thursday morning. So again, hang tight, be strong. We love you guys, and we'll see you Thursday morning right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.